Agot, Cutu, Lucie, Sophie, venez.
This is the Konkoati Lagoon in South Congo. "14 chimpanzees, all saved from poaching, live here in semi-captivity. Twice a day, Emmanuel and Stephanie from the HELP Congo Association come here to feed them. After several years' rehabilitation, most of them will once again take the road to freedom. A number of chimps that were raised here have already been successfully reintroduced into the wild. This is a world first, a project aiming to strengthen the wild chimp populations that have been decimated by poaching and deforestation. A new group of 4 animals is now scheduled to be released into the wild. David is the first, a 10-year-old male. A little ungainly, perhaps, with the grace of a sumo wrestler, but he's the first to help the others whenever there's a physical threat. This is Sophie, who is also 10. She has been a mother for just a few days. Little Valentine is the first baby born on the island. Returning Sophie and her baby to freedom is a new challenge. Will they be able to survive the omnipresent dangers of the forest? Fortunately, since the birth of the baby, David has been increasingly concerned for Sophie's welfare. Cutu is another 10-year-old male. His confidence within the group is growing, and he shows off to impress the females. Cutu does not like strangers at all. The final member of the foursome is Agot, a 9-year-old female, discreet and solitary, but constantly curious. David, Sophie, Cutu, and Agot will be released together because they make up a tight and friendly group. Soon they will rejoin 11 other chimps already released into a protected forest area known as the Triangle. Meanwhile, life on the island continues, with its joys and more difficult moments. The town of Pointe-Noire is in the south of the Congo. Aliette Jamart is French and has been living here for 37 years. Her life changed one day in 1989 when she visited the local zoo. 10 chimpanzees, including 2 infants, were locked up in appalling conditions. Aliette swore to set them free, and soon afterwards set up Jeannette, the only surviving baby, in her own house. Chimpanzees are under threat in the Congo. After the buffalo and the antelope, primates have become the principal prey of poachers, who kill the adults for meat and try to sell the babies as pets. In 1991, Aliette created the association HELP Congo, in French, Habitat écologique et liberté des primates. Its aim was to restore the illegally captured chimps to their natural environment. Within 2 years, and with the help of water and forestry agents, Aliette adopted 21 chimps into her household. She bottle-fed them all until the day when their number became too much of a problem. The government then provided the support to create a welcome center in the bush around the Konkoati Lagoon. When Aliette goes to the market for supplies every 2 weeks, she carefully avoids the stalls reserved for wild animal meat and fetishes. Stopping this illegal smuggling and preserving the animals' natural habitats is what Aliette is fighting for today. Twice a month, a truck brings in supplies to the association's camp on the Konkoati Reserve, 180 kilometers northwest of Pointe Noire, not far from the border with Gabon. It's a hard road and an exhausting journey. The men suffer, and the equipment too. George Paradis is a vet. He's been following the HELP project since December 1992 and knows the chimps that are going to be released very well. He's now back in Konkoati after several months away. At the camp, the main activity in the morning is feeding the chimps. The Congolese mothers prepare a porridge with cereals, milk, and rice. The chimps love this warm breakfast, which provides them with all the protein and calcium they require. The island where they live now is too small to enable them to be independent, food-wise. One of the advantages of this site is that there are 3 islands, providing good conditions of semi-liberty and at the same time, enabling the animals to develop their abilities to adapt to life in the wild. 3 chimps live on the smallest island, including Banana, a chimp rescued from the war in Brazzaville. The second island is home to the youngest animals confiscated from poachers after August 1991. On the largest island are the chimpanzees which came from Aliette's house. Carmen Vidal is also a vet, and like George, she is wondering how the chimps will react to her after several months' absence. The chimps reserve a warm welcome for Carmen. But for George, it's a little more complicated. On average, the chimps can live up to the age of 50. Here on the island, their ages range from 9 to 15. The sooner they're released, the greater their chances will be of successfully integrating with their wild companions. But these are emotionally fragile animals. The lack of freedom, the strange diet, and the contact with man will mark them forever. Before being released, they must relearn the gestures and behavior of life in the wild.
That behavior they had to learn. When they arrived over here about in 1991, they didn't know what was the water and to be in the water. And slowly we started to teaching them how to get close to the water, to come into the water. And after all these years, nearly 8 years already, or 9 years, they are not afraid at all to come to get wet. And also they like it, they enjoyed it. And that's going to be something crucial, something important in the triangle over there, because they will have to cross places that are full of water. They will have to go into the water to get to another food source. So that's one of the behaviors we had to teach them for a couple of years over here.
Normally, the humans avoid contact with the island's chimps as much as possible, so that they will gradually revert to the ways of the wild. But in order to capture the chimps next week, they will have to be anesthetized, and so the presence of the syringe has to be disguised. Fortunately, the animal welfare team are pretty inventive when it comes to making up a new game. Mickey loves to be noticed, particularly when he's being ignored. This is an example of a chimp that's difficult to release. He is completely unpredictable, but also highly intelligent. And as he systematically looks for human contact, his adaptation to a natural environment will be problematic. An hour-and-a-half boat ride from Konkoati is the protected area known as the Triangle. It is in this 22 square kilometer zone that the HELP chimps will be released. 11 orphans have already won their freedom here.
C'est à plus près 290 nestés, donc c'est encore plus dans le sud.
The animals are relatively easy to locate, thanks to transmitters in their collars. The progress that has been made in the Triangle since 1996 is certainly impressive. Thanks to the actions of HELP Congo and the support of Projet GEF Congo, the chimps have become the standard bearers for the conservation of the forest and its wildlife among the local population and the authorities. The region's inhabitants help to follow the released animals' progress. Their presence in the area has led to a decline in poaching, and a number of animal species that had become very rare are now visible once more.
Voici Choupette ici. Là-bas, tu as Jeannette.
This is Jeannette, the first chimp that Aliette got out of the zoo in 1989. Her adaptation to life in the wild has been a real success. Her contacts with humans are now limited to a brief, friendly greeting.
Grooming is a very important part of the social life of the chimpanzees. It's like the first way to say hi, so hello. And it has been already 2 months the last time I saw this group. And Cutu, he's one of the most they still have a little bit more of physical contact with people, and we have still a lot of work to do with him to break this contact.
George takes advantage of his visits here to carry out a medical checkup on the chimps. The mission of the observers in the Triangle is to follow the chimps from a distance and to make notes about their behavior every 10 minutes. For the chimps, the observers are merely part of their surroundings. They are much more interested if a human approaches them without a notebook. This experiment is unique in the world, and it should lead to the creation of a database on the adaptation of chimps released into the forest. The most interesting stage to observe is the first encounter with wild chimpanzees. Up to now, this has gone well for the females, but has been somewhat more painful for the young males. It's the trickiest part of the release, and it will take time for the new arrivals to be completely integrated.
Their adaptation process has been a success, as we can see. At the beginning, we used to show them and to guide them to the food sources around the Triangle because they didn't know the area was a complete new environment, a complete new territory for them. But now we are doing the opposite. Now is us and the observers, the Congolese working with us, that are following them to know what are they discovering and how they are adapting to these new conditions.
A chimpanzee can easily spend 2/3 of its time looking for food. The rest of the time is devoted to the group's social life and to resting. Every evening a new nest is built, often very high up in the trees. It's a difficult moment for Aliette. Tomorrow is the big day. The animals must be caught. She knows from experience that it's a very delicate operation and very stressful for the chimps. When Marc Ancrenaz arrives, the team is complete. Marc is another vet and a specialist in the great apes. In the evening, the whole team meets up, and the strategy for the release is discussed for the last time.
Pour déjà constater ce qui se passe et surtout.
The next morning, the capturing equipment is tested, and Stephanie works on her intramuscular injection techniques.
C'est comme ça que je suis mieux. Que comme ça, quand il n'y a pas beaucoup de produits, j'ai pas assez de... Quand c'est comme ça, oui, tac.
If the chimpanzees won't let George get close to them, she will have to tranquilize them herself.
10h30, on y va de plus en plus tôt.
The hardest thing about the capture is to be discreet. It's essential to isolate the chimp to be anesthetized so that the others can't see what's going on.
Non, mais si jamais tu lui donnes le chocolat là-bas, il va revenir.
By chance, David appears by himself. Stephanie gives him a tranquilizer diluted in chocolate. The vets hope this will calm him down and prevent any violent reaction to the anesthetic injection.
Si on peut l'avoir dans 1 heure, c'est le mieux. Ce serait bien d'attraper David aujourd'hui. Donc c'est pas grave si les autres sortent pas ou sortent, on fait David.
Stephanie, it will be until about 11:30 or 11:40 when you will start seeing something on David. Ouais.
Un quart d'heure.
It's the moment the other chimps decide to have breakfast. Their presence excites David, and he doesn't appear to be too receptive to the tranquilizer he was given.
Regarde-moi ce David là.
The main risk during the capture procedure is that the chimp climbs a tree before falling asleep. He would inevitably fall to the ground. David has calmed down, and so Stephanie now tries to lead him to an area where it will be easier to give the anesthetic.
Ça c'est génial. Ça va, David?
Il est gentil, lui.
C'est bon. Ça va, c'est bon. Dépêchez-vous. Ok. Maybe all of it.
Ok. Essayez de le garder là, parce qu'il est très bien s'il tombe. I think it's okay. I think he injected quite a good quantity.
Il va rester parce que maintenant il regarde les autres, il va essayer de marcher comme ça. Donc si ça commence à tomber, il va prendre l'eau.
Là c'est bon, là s'il tombe là, c'est parfait.
Stéphanie,
Stéphanie, laissez-le.
just stay beside, start approaching
tu bouges
him
pas, tu
slowly.
laisses.
Don't move, please.
Non, pas tout à fait. Mais on se rapproche.
Faut que tu cherches un peu de
Est-ce qu'il dort là? Is he sleeping?
Try to see the palpebral reflex.
Aliette, tu vas nous aider. Ne bougez pas.
Stay there, we arrive.
Ou alors tu restes dans le bateau et tu prends la bâche pour faire écran. Tu vois, comme ça, les autres voient.
It's a masterful first catch, but the operation is perhaps not over yet. Cutu is now coming over towards the team. The opportunity is too good to miss, particularly as Cutu loves boats. Stephanie has some chocolate left to keep him busy while George gets ready.
How many milligrams did you inject?
200, so at least 2 hours he will be sleeping. Ça va, Cutu? Ça va?
Et il est injecté, hein. Bon, il faut prendre la bâche. Il faut pas qu'il nous voie le cerveau. Il dort là.
The two males at the same time. The team couldn't have hoped for more. But tomorrow's catch will no doubt be much harder because the rest of the group have heard Cutu's cries of distress.
Non, il va bien là.
Back at the camp, it's now a race against the clock. The anesthetic will work for about 2 hours. Before transporting them by boat to the triangle, the vets do a thorough checkup on the chimps. A clean bill of health is essential to avoid any contamination of the animals in the wild.
He'll adapt well. The only problem, as always, is the wild chimps, because he's a male and there are youngsters that are bigger. We'll have to be very, very careful. But the other females will be delighted to have such a fine specimen come to nibble them.
The journey takes an hour and a half when there are no obstacles. A solid wooden cage has been built for the 4 chimps when they arrive. The cage is divided into 4 compartments with movable partitions. Ideally, the chimp should be left in the cage for a few days to recover from the anesthetic and to get used to the sounds and smells of the forest. This method should also avoid a certain panic observed during previous releases. But there is one unknown factor. These chimps have never been put in a cage before. How will they react? The moment has come for the chimps to wake up. George injects an antidote, and David and Cutu open their eyes.
C'est dur, hein. Le prix de la liberté est cher, hein. Parce qu'ils sont complètement paniqués quand même.
Enfin, c'est jamais les... C'est pas facile, c'est les... Moi, je dis, c'est vraiment une épreuve.
It's never easy. It's a real ordeal, both for us and for them, particularly for them, of course. We take them out of an environment they know well and put them in a cage they don't know at all. There are no cages at my place. So I understand that they're stressed, and I think that when they're let out, we'll have to move away pretty quickly because they're not going to be happy.
Exhausted after this first day, George, Mark, and Stephanie return to Konkuati. Tomorrow morning, they'll have to catch Agot and Sophie. Everything seems calm around the cage during the early evening. But around 4 in the morning, Cutu decides enough is enough. He wants out. It is said that a chimp is 5 times as strong as a man, and this proves to be the case. Cutu takes the inside of the cage apart. Carmen decides to anesthetize him again. It's the only solution. If he gets out alone at night into this hostile environment, anything can happen. Next morning at Konkuwati, the catch is again successful. Agot and Sophie walk confidently into the trap.
Ça, c'est du chimpanzé en plomb.
In a rather delicate operation, Mark has to take the baby from its mother to weigh it. The vets make copious notes on the chimp's statistics and physical characteristics, enabling a detailed comparison with their future evolution.
Tu y es 111, c'est bon. Bon, il faut le remettre à sa mère, le petit. Okay, baby is a female. Sure.
All the chimps, they are getting the TB test. We are vaccinating them against polio and tetanus. We are deworming them, and also they get some vitamins, intramuscular vitamins. We're taking feces sample for DNA analysis and also for parasite analysis.
He does not understand what is happening now. Plateau of the bone.
Okay.
You have to move and you feel it. Approximately. Okay.
So for Baptiste, you know the way of writing them?
Okay, so we go. So incisive. Dentition is complete. Two adults.
Okay.
And the good thing is that Sophie will join David at the triangle. And since Sophie and David are very close together, when we will release these two animals, at least this relationship will be kept the same.
Finally, the collar transmitters have to be placed around Sophie and Agot's necks. Cutu also has a collar, but not David, as the shape of his head won't allow it. But it doesn't matter, as the whole team is convinced that David will stay close to his companion Sophie to protect the baby. When they reach the triangle, the vets learn that the night has been difficult. They have to face facts. It will be impossible to keep David and Cutu locked up for much longer.
I'm going to give the antidote so they can start waking up quicker. So the idea is to leave the door open, so once they wake up, they will see each other, and hopefully they will be more calm instead if we leave them separate.
Aliette is considering releasing them the next morning, but before opening the cage, she wants to set up an encounter between the group of previously released chimps led by Jeanette and the new arrivals. Some of them grew up together on the same island and they may recognize each other. This would doubtless avoid any fighting that a chance meeting in the forest might cause. And then who knows, maybe the older chimps will help the new ones find food.
Viens ma fille, viens. Viens ma maman, viens. Jeannette.
impression, maybe just psychology, but I have the impression that Jeanette already recognized David and Chupet as well. They grew together on at Jombe Island. And the idea for me would be to release the chimps that are inside of the cage once the rest of the group is outside. It's much better they encounter over here in a place that they already know, that encounter themselves in the middle of the forest.
Jeanette's group seems to enjoy being around the cage, and the new arrivals have got used to their presence. It's the ideal moment to open the door. The tension mounts among the team members, because now anything can happen.
On fait les équipes là, qui vont rester prêtes à intervenir.
Attends, Philippe qui arrive.
After reassuring Cutu, David moves off without paying any further attention to the other chimps. Agot is calmer and takes her time. As predicted, Sophie follows in David's footsteps. Cutu is the more panic-stricken of the four. Trembling with fear, he doesn't seem to know what is happening to him. Jeanette tries to approach him, but Cutu ignores her and decides to set off into the forest alone. It's been a hard day. The team decide to leave the chimps alone for the moment and to try to locate them the next day. The triangle zone is bordered by two rivers which define its limits. Normally, the chimps should stay within this area, but Aliette is concerned that they might use tree trunks that have fallen across the river to leave the triangle zone. Three groups have been organized to cross the triangle. After searching for several hours, the members of the team are getting worried. The radios are not picking up any signals. Aliette and Mark set up a bush camp in order to go deeper into the forest. This area is particularly difficult to cross, and the weather is getting worse. At last, the two teams pick up faint radio signals, but it's impossible to locate the chimps with any precision. It appears that Sophie and Agot have stayed together, probably with David, but Cutu seems to be alone and far away, lost in the swamps.
The main concern is with Cutu. Cutu, this young male, has left already the triangle. He has been able to cross the river, and so now he's in what we call the reserve, in a large forest, and every day he's really moving away from us, further and further. But our concern is to lose him at the end, because he's now maybe 5 kilometers from the cage where we did the release. So since he's alone, since he's under stress, and since he's in forest he doesn't know, I mean, we are very concerned, yes.
I'm just wondering if we have the right to put them through this kind of stress again, because there's no solution to leaving them in semi-captivity on the islands, because they live so long, and in the long term that will pose problems. But releasing them like this, it's really beginning to cause me as much stress as them. I was so scared.
Non, attends, on n'a pas perdu Cutu encore, Aliette. Hein? On va le retrouver, ce singe.
Aliette and Marc temporarily suspend their search and set off to pick up Stephanie and Emmanuel, who have been following David's tracks for the last few days.
Est-ce que vous avez de l'eau? On meurt. Merci. Et puis finalement, David et Sophie sont venus. Agathe est toute seule, elle d'un autre côté.
Aujourd'hui, c'est les femmes qui ont des côtes parce qu'ils ont des mamelles.
The team is exhausted, but there is good news. Cutu has come back towards the triangle, and David's group seems to be in good shape. Three months have passed, and the four chimps are now living together. Throughout this time, Carmen has been the only vet at the camp. Cutu was picked up 3 weeks after the release on a little island of solid ground in the middle of the swamp. When Carmen found him, he was very thin and dehydrated. He fell lifeless into her arms. His hands and feet were badly infected after his long journey through hostile terrain. He had to be treated in the swamp because he couldn't be moved in that condition. 8 days later, he was brought back to the cage under anesthetic. But Cutu is now cured and reassured. He has rejoined his companions, and they all seem to have adapted remarkably well. George has returned for a few days. He approaches the chimps for the first time since they were released, a little apprehensive about their reaction to the man who anesthetized them. But David merely turns his back, and Agot shows that she doesn't bear a grudge.
I'm really surprised because the general aspect is much better than with the chimps on the first release. So, and that could be because they are older chimpanzees and they were living in a a bigger island, that's Jombe Island, and also because they are very close to each other. So the psychological aspect of at this point is really important for them.
See? I haven't seen him for 3 weeks, and he's really magnificent again. His coat is shiny, he's put on weight. He is certainly the way he was, in physical terms. Exactly as he was on the island. You see, he's not afraid anymore.
The chimpanzees haven't had much trouble finding food. Their experience with their parents before they were captured and their long rehabilitation on the islands have helped them find the right plants and fruit. The Grewia oligonura is their current favorite. It's a small, slightly acid fruit with a crunchy skin and very good, but there's not a lot of flesh around the pit, so they spend hours in the same tree trying to satisfy their appetites. The chimps also love eating insects. David has just made a discovery. A wasp is trapped inside this piece of wood, and he's trying to find a way to get it out. Another chapter draws to a close in the Congo forest, but there will be others. Another 20 or so chimpanzees will soon be taking the road to freedom. For David and his family, the next challenge will be their encounters with wild chimps. If they can blend in, the release will have been a complete success. The aim of the reinsertion program, strengthening the chimpanzee population, will then have been achieved. But will the Congolese government have the strength to resist the pressure of the foresters, who are now trying to take over the Kankawati Reserve? Meanwhile, a new life begins here, a sign of hope in nature's fragile equilibrium.